Mannatha Shri Jagannatho Madguru Shri Jagadguru Madatma Sarvabhutatma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Dear fellow yoga enthusiasts, yoga teachers, yoga aspirants, yoga gurus, yoga practitioners, we are all gathered here today in the Dallas Yoga Fest as a part of the International Day of Yoga celebrations in accordance with the United Nations Declaration in 2014 to observe the longest day of the year, 21st of June, as the International Yoga Day. I have been requested to speak on the topic Yoga for Joyful Living. The country of America has been blessed with tremendous natural beauty. If we start from the west coast of California, we have the grandeur of the sequoia trees that are 25 stories high and have been living there since the last 2,000 years. If we go a little higher, we see the great redwood trees of Santa Cruz that are rock solid and enormous. If we go a little higher, we find the tranquility and serenity of Lake Tahoe in the mountains. Come a little towards the east, and when you come to the Grand Canyon, you look at it, all you can say is, wow, nobody is a better artist than nature. Come a little south from there to the rugged terrain of the deserts of Arizona. They have their own beauty. The cacti which go to the height of a 3-storied building, again, it is so astonishing. Move further east, you come to Lake Michigan in Chicago. Come a little down, and we have the Rockies in Colorado, where the engineers have built these astonishing roads which don't even let you realize before you have reached the height of 14,000 feet. And on the way you find astonishing high-altitude creatures. When we come to Dallas, although the terrain is a bit dry, but the beauty is still very special. The rocks have their own wonder. The trees are smaller, and there is still so much of greenery. As we hit the East Coast, the world-famous beaches of Florida, go upwards from there until you reach North Carolina, which has got the perfect climate, neither too hot nor too cold, and go further north, where you come to the New England region, the Poconos, which are so green, it's unbelievable that the earth has shot up all these astonishing trees. The beauty of the continent of North America is not unique. Every continent in the world is similarly beautiful. However, the science of yoga informs us that far more beautiful than the Poconos, far more solemn than the Grand Canyon, far more enormous than the sequoia groves, is the potential for beauty that lies within all of us. We are all potentially beautiful from within. The science of yoga is a technique that helps us to manifest the divinity that lies hidden within the inner recesses of our personality. If we are so beautiful, why is it not getting manifest? The external beauty we see is the work of material nature. We are beyond that. We are divine. We are parts of the divine nature. If the material nature is so wonderful, imagine how spectacular the spiritual nature will be. That is the true nature of you and I and all of us. What is preventing from manifesting it? There are various layers to our personality. Even from a scientific point of view, if you take a look at your hand, it gives the impression of being solid matter. However, if you were to observe your hand under a fine microscope, you would discover it is not so solid. It has got cells that are loosely connected with tissues. And if you had an even finer microscope, you would find that the cells now dissolve into molecules and atoms. There we reach the boundary of matter and energy. For if we delve into these atoms, we have electrons whirling at the speed of light, and the neutrons and protons in the nucleus and many other subatomic particles. Science informs us that these particles are not solid as they seem to be. They are just traces of energy that disappear the moment they are pinpointed. And between these electrons is such enormous space. 99.99% of the atom is empty space. What then is the nature of our body? It is a whole lot of energy. And this energy is connected to some source which is providing it information. That is why the energy is vibrating in such a manner that you are able to identify something as the atom, something as the molecule, as the cell, as the liver cell, stem cell, and so on. From the yogic point of view, this energy that makes up the body has different levels. The first is the earth. Subtler is the water. Even subtler is fire. Even subtler is the air within the body. Even subtler is the sky or the space. The 5 gross elements. Subtler than that is the energy of the mind. Even subtler is the intellect. Even subtler is the ego. And beyond the ego is the real self, the I, which is spirit, which is soul. The Atman, you can call it by any name. That soul is enmeshed in 5 layers. The Anandamaya Kosh, the bliss sheath. The Vijnanmaya Kosh, the intellectual sheath. The Manamaya Kosh, the mental sheath. The Pranamaya Kosh, the vital energy sheath. And the Annamaya Kosh, the gross body with which we are all familiar. The science of yoga is a systematic technique for helping us develop our personality at the physical level, mental level, intellectual level, and spiritual level. This science encompasses varieties of activities, varieties of thoughts. How do you look at this world is an aspect of yoga. How do you look at yourself is an aspect of yoga. How do you look at others? How do you perceive the work that you do, the air that you breathe, the food that you eat? All this is related to yoga. But what does this have to do with joy? We are gathered in this time slot to discuss yoga for joyous living. Ultimately, life is all about joy. In every activity, we are seeking joy. Why did you come to the Dallas Yoga Fest? Swamiji, I thought I will learn a few things. Why did you wish to learn a few things? That would increase my inner joy. And why did you come to the Dallas Yoga Fest? I thought I will teach what I know to the others. But why do you wish to teach what you know? That will increase my sense of inner satisfaction, my sense of inner joy. We all want joy. Are you experiencing joy right now sitting here? You know, in pretense you can say, yes, Swamiji. But if I carry on speaking for the next 5 hours, what's going to happen? I have to get up. You were sitting for joy, what happened? The joy has dried up, Swamiji. Getting up is giving me more joy. Doing an activity when the joy dries up, we wish to do the reverse activity, but the goal remains the same. We all have different desires, different aspirations, different inclinations, but the root of it all is that we wish to be happy. Sarvesham api bhutanam nripasvatmaiva vallabha. Somebody believes that getting the Cadillac will give joy. Somebody believes that going for a cruise will give joy. Somebody believes that serving the poor and needy will give joy. Everybody has their own concept of where joy lies. But the aspiration of all of us is the same. Otherwise, we are different in every way. We all have different facial appearances. We have different voices. That is why somebody calls you on the phone and says, hello, how are you? Without seeing you recognize who that person is. In fact, we have different bodily aromas. The dog recognizes by the aroma. Yesterday I was in somebody's house in New Jersey. The dog came, barked a little, and then went to the side. I said, does he remember me? So the lady said, he remembers your smell. Last year when you came, he kept that smell in his file, and everybody has got a different smell, so he remembers. We have got different fingerprints. Our biometrics are different. That is the kind of variety that exists in creation. No two leaves of a tree are alike. And yet, in this matter of seeking joy, we are all one. Nobody taught us to seek joy. Otherwise, we were instructed so many things. From the time we went to preschool till the time we passed out of college, we were told this is the way to do it, this is not the way to do it, this is right, that is wrong. But nobody taught us that you must seek joy in your life. It should not come about that you start running after misery. This instruction was never given. It is intrinsic to our very being. It is a part of our soul existence. And the first expression of our yearning for joy took place when we were born. What did we do when we were born? We cried. And why did we cry? Because in the process of birth, we experienced pain. By crying, we expressed ourselves. I have not come into this world for misery. I have come for joy. Give me happiness. Give me happiness. And from that point on till today, 20 years, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years, at every moment we have been seeking happiness. What is the reason for this? Why this yearning for joy within all of us? The fact is that we are all connected to the one source. We have all emanated from that one source, which is referred to in different ways and different names, in different traditions of the world, as God, as Allah, as Yahweh, Bhagavan, Ram, Sham, Om, Ikomkar, Shunya, Ahura Mazda, Alakh Niranjan. People have given different names to that one source. The Vedas inform the nature of that source is Anand, or bliss. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. The source of all creation is an infinite ocean of divine bliss. Anande vadastat anando parishtat ananda parastat ananda paschat anandottaratah anando dakshinatah ananda eve dagvam sarvam. That divine entity which has bliss above, bliss below, bliss inside, bliss outside, bliss to the left, bliss to the right, bliss everywhere, that ocean of bliss is the ultimate reality. You can call him by any name. Some people would say there is bliss in God. However, the Vedas are saying that divine entity itself is bliss. You cannot separate bliss from him. Just like there is an Indian sweet called Rasgulla. Has anybody eaten rasgullas, the Westerners? It has got two aspects to it. One is the round cheese ball called gulla, and the other is the sugar syrup called ras. The gulla by itself is dry, and the ras is the nectar. When you immerse the gulla in the nectar, it assimilates the nectar within itself and becomes rasgulla. The Indians' mouths are already watering. So it has the gulla which is dry and the ras which is sweet. If we say bliss is separate from the divine, that means the divine is devoid of bliss. It is a blissless entity. However, the Vedas inform us that the divine itself is of the nature of bliss. In other words, bliss is synonymous with it. But what does that have to do with us? It explains why we all seek bliss. We are all fragments of that ocean of bliss. Like you have a drop which is a fragment of the ocean. The qualities of the ocean are also in the drop. The same H2O, the same NaCl. In the same way, we are all tiny fragments of that ocean of bliss. And every fragment is naturally pulled to its source. That is how Newton discovered the law of gravitation. When the apple fell on his head, now apples always fall, they don't rise. But Newton was the first to start thinking, why did the apple fall? And he realized that the earth is pulling it. The apple is a part of the earth. The earth pulls everything that's a part of it through the force of gravitation. Whatever is a part is drawn to the source in the same way as the rivers are drawn to the ocean. Because the rivers are a part of the ocean. It's from the ocean that the water vapor arose and gathered into clouds. The clouds crossed over from the Gulf of Mexico. They went past Houston until after little more than 100 miles, they reached Dallas and started pouring down as rain. The rain is gathered into little rivulets. The rivulets merge into a stream and the stream merges into the river. Where is the river flowing? Back to the ocean. How long will it flow? Until it reaches the ocean. In other words, the river is a part of the ocean and it's drawn to its source. Similarly, we are all parts of the ocean of infinite bliss. Once again, no matter what name you call it, it's the ocean of infinite bliss of whom we are all parts. And we experience the pull in terms of the urge for joy. Until that urge is satiated, until we become truly blissful, we will never be contented. We will keep striving. Something within us will tell us we have still not become as we wish to become. We have still not reached where we wish to reach. We have still not done what we wish to do. And so the search continues. A great philosopher of America, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he said, what is this sense of want? This universal discontent. It is nothing but the fine innuendo by which our soul is taking its enormous claim. The soul, which is a part of the ocean of bliss, is taking its claim. Give me that bliss which will truly satisfy me. And that kind of bliss we have not achieved as yet. But you may dispute that point, Swamiji. I went to the Las Vegas and I went to so many other thrilling places. How do you say I have not achieved bliss as yet? You see, the Vedas define the nature of bliss as Sat, Chit and Anand. Bliss must be such that It must be infinite in extent. Your soul will not be satisfied by finite bliss. Let us say you chased the great American dream and became a millionaire by the age of 40. You're a millionaire? Yes. Are you happy? Only for a moment. Then I spot the billionaire. This guy has got his private plane. I'm envious. Until I become a billionaire, I cannot be happy. So, no matter what happiness we get, if we find somebody relishing greater joy, our joy dries up once again. That is why the Vedas inform us, Yo vai bhuma tat sukham, such anand which is infinite in extent. And there must be a second attribute to it. It must be eternal bliss. If it comes and then goes, it leaves us high and dry. I had a wonderful day yesterday. What happened? I went to see that match of the Dallas Mavericks. I really enjoyed myself, and then after that, coming back, we stopped in this shop and we had a ball here, and it was the best day of my life. What happened today? Today I was unwell, I was at home, the air conditioning had conked off, the TV was not working, I was just getting bored. You mean yesterday's bliss went off today? So it did. That kind of bliss will never fulfill you. You want such bliss, which if once attained, will always remain. And it should be ever fresh. That is the Sat Chit Anand, the infinite bliss of the Supreme. We are all on a journey to that Supreme. So after our striving, after our endeavor, we still find ourselves blissless. Is there a problem here? The problem is that we have forgotten ourselves. Who are we? We see ourselves as this body made of matter. That is a very gross understanding. It is like a driver sitting in the car and you mistake the car to be the driver. In the same way, if we think I am this body, then if somebody has an amputation, that person should change because the body has changed. But intuitively we realize we still remain the same. We are far more, far deeper, far higher than this body. The problem is we have forgotten that divine spiritual identity and seeing ourselves as this material body, we have made bodily material pleasures as the goal of our pursuits. What can I see to be happy? What can I touch to be happy? What can I taste to be happy? What can I smell to be joyous? What can I hear to be thrilled? We are striving after the pleasures of the body. And the experience of everyone is that there is no satiation in this endless pursuit of a mirage. Once, a person went to a home for the mentally challenged. There he found an inmate who was sitting and doing lulu, lulu, lulu. He asked the doctor of that home for the mentally challenged, why is this man sitting here and just saying lulu, lulu, lulu? What's wrong with him? He said, sir, he loved this girl, Lulu, and she did not marry him. She went and married somebody else, so he went insane. He now only sits here and does lulu, lulu, lulu. They continued the tour and they went to the next room. The inmate there was also sitting and saying, Lulu, Lulu, Lulu. He said, this guy as well. Was that Lulu a promiscuous lady? Did she have many lovers? The doctor said, sir, this is the man who married Lulu. He also went mad. Either way, you can't be happy. A writer called Ruskin Bond said there are two disappointments in this world. The first is when you desire something and you don't get it. And the second is when you desire something and you get it. Either way, there is a disappointment. Now, if we choose to lead our life in this kind of paradigm, then the whole life goes by without the experience of true joy. Let me share with you a humorous story. It is said that when God made the world, He bestowed a lifespan of 40 years to all living beings. The human beings, the bees, the birds, the creatures. But human beings are not satisfied. So they formed a delegation and went to God and said, my Lord, you have given us just 40 years. We just get about settled and then life comes to an end. All our aspirations remain unfulfilled. Can you not increase this lifespan a little bit? God said, now that's a tough request. Nevertheless, I'll keep your file in pending. Let's see what happens. A few days went by and a donkey came to God. The donkey said, my Lord, what kind of a creature you have made me. I just carry burdens from here to there and there to here, and 40 years go by. Can you not reduce my life a little bit? God remembered that humans had requested an increase in the lifespan. So He removed 20 years from the donkey's lifespan. The donkey was left with only a life expectancy of 20 years. He added those 20 donkey years to the human lifespan. So humans now expected 60 years. God said, is that all right? Human beings said, in 60 years, we still have all these aspirations and unfulfilled wants. Can it not be increased a little more? God said, all right, then be patient. Let's see what happens. A few more days went by and a dog came to God. The dog said, my Lord, what kind of creature have you made me? I just keep barking and barking and barking and nobody listens. And sometimes I chase the car from this side of the parking lot to that side, sometimes from that side to this side. Makes no sense. 40 years. Please reduce my life. God removed 20 years from the dog's life as well and added those 20 dog years to the human lifespan. Now human beings expected to live 80 years. God said, is it okay now? Human beings said, it is okay, but not totally okay. Can you not increase it a little more? God said, all right, we'll see. Few more days went by and an owl came to God. The owl said, my Lord, did you make me by mistake? When everybody is awake, I have so much light in my eyes, I get blinded and I can't see. And when everybody is asleep, I go from rooftop to rooftop. Please reduce my life. God removed 20 years from the owl's life as well and gave that bonus to human beings. So the human life expectancy now reached 100 years. What kind of 100 years? First 40 years is all right. Whether you do yoga or not, you're still fit. After that, you hit the bumpy road. From 40 years, now the donkey years have started. Before retirement, I have to settle my son, I have to get my daughter married, I have to clear the mortgage. With this burden one is going through life. These are the donkey years. And at 60, now the dog years begin. In the Indian joint family, grandfather's primary function is to take care of the house. The son says, "Father, I'm going with daughter-in-law to see a movie. You take care of the house." These are the dog years going on. And no matter what the old man says, people say, it's his habit to speak. Let him carry on speaking. At the age of 80, now the owl years begin. Cataract has developed. It's difficult to see. One goes to the doctor, "Mr. Doctor, please remove this cataract. I'm not able to see." The doctor says, "Look, wait, be patient. Let the cataract develop in the other eye as well. We'll remove it together. Until then, you keep sitting blind." The whole life passes by, and somehow or the other, we miss out on the joy that our soul was seeking. How to reach that inner joy? What have we crossed in this pursuit that was going on? Sukhaya karmani karoti loko natai sukham vanya duparamam va. The Srimad Bhagavat says that everybody is searching for happiness. And instead of happiness, they are getting misery. The reason for this is they are looking for happiness in the wrong place, having forgotten their inner being, their intrinsic spiritual nature. They have misidentified themselves as the body. And hence they have made bodily pursuits of happiness as their foremost goal. If only they could decide, I am the spirit, I am eternal, I am divine, I am far more than matter, and the joy that my soul seeks is not in the mundane, puny things. Then we will search for the divine. And when we do, it is not difficult to reach to that joy. What is it that we need to do? How can we utilize the science of yoga for joyous living? As I said, there are different aspects to our personality. There is the physical aspect, the mental aspect, the intellectual aspect, and the real I, the spirit. In order to achieve joy, our physical resources are not limited. We have been blessed with these two eyes. Each eye is fitted with 125 million receptors, each with the help of which we can enjoy the beauty of the 7 colors of the rainbow, the grandeur of an eagle in flight, the amazing sight of the forest in the Amazon, the wonder of the crimson sky of the setting sun in the ocean. Are we not blessed with this grace? The ears that we possess are fitted with 24,000 fibers each, with the help of which we can hear the sound of children in laughter, the chirping of the birds in the morning, the rustling of the leaves with the gentle flow of the breeze, and the breaking of the waves on the ocean. Count it as yet another grace. We have a brain which is fitted with 100 billion neurons, with the help of which we can appreciate the intricacies of grammar, the aesthetics of the plays of William Shakespeare, the logic of a computer program, and the ethical ramifications of our decisions count it as yet another grace. We have a musculoskeletal system that is endowed with 205 bones and 630 muscles, with the help of which you can climb up mountain peaks, you can dive into lakes, you can swim across streams, and you can dive from above in parachutes. Call this as another blessing. We have a heart that is pumping at the rate of 100,000 times in a day, which makes it 36.5 million times in a year. And it is not tiring out, incessantly working in our service. Can we say that we don't have enough? We definitely do have tremendous resources that we have been endowed with. The shortcoming may be of the attitude. What is short in all of this? One aspect of our personality which we don't pay heed to, and that is the mind. The mind is such a thing that it blocks out happiness. The British philosopher of the 17th century, John Milton, in his book Paradise Lost, put it so perfectly when he said, the mind is a place of its own, and in itself can make heaven out of hell, and hell out of heaven. The mind is so powerful. Sitting in heaven, if the mind is agitated, it can give you the torments of hell. And sitting in hell, if the mind is equipoised, it can make you experience the joys of heaven. That is why this mind is so central to our personality. Veritably, we are what our mind is, because the consciousness is tied to the mind. We have many doctors here. They will inform you there's an evolving field in medical science called the mind-body connection. The fine line between psychology and biology is disappearing, as medical science is realizing that mind has its impact upon the body as well. It's been discovered that when people experience despair and lack of hope in life, that is when they are most susceptible to depression and cancer. It has been experienced that amongst the centenarians who lived more than 100 years, the common factor is not that they did not drink, they did not smoke, or they exercised, or they did not exercise. The common factor is that they all have a positive and cheerful mindset. Cancer survivors were surveyed for their commonality, and it was discovered those who have a cheerful and optimistic disposition are most likely to be surviving after so many years. In other words, every thought has an impact upon the body. Our cells are constantly eavesdropping upon the mind. Without our realizing, the thoughts are impacting the richness of our human experience so tremendously. You look at a person and say, he seems to be a very angry guy. How do you know? No, his thoughts of anger are reflecting on the face. Like a sculptor, they have chiseled his appearance. And you look at somebody else and say, oh, so simple and trustworthy. Once again, how do you know? The nature of the thoughts created the appearance. So thoughts are definitely connected to the physical body in terms of the appearance they impart, in terms of the health that they bestow, and in terms of the experience of joy and misery. Somebody is sitting happily. You go and speak something that creates a miserable thought in that person, he or she becomes miserable. The thought created the misery. Somebody else is miserable. Go and say something that creates a cheerful thought, and the person becomes cheerful. So our experiences of joy or lack of it are all dependent upon the nature of our thoughts. These thoughts are so important. That is why Maharshi Patanjali, who wrote the Patanjali Yoga Sutras, which are like the basis of the yoga being practiced around the world, he starts off by explaining yogas chitta vritti nirodha. The goal of yoga is chitta vritti nirodha, to help you establish control over the thought processes of your mind. The mind inside this body is like a subtle machine that is constantly generating thoughts. It's a thought-creating machine, and the thoughts are fructifying into actions. If we wish to improve our actions, once again the seeds for those actions are the thoughts within. So we do need, for our own inner joy, to learn the ability to manage the mind. Nevertheless, that is only one aspect of our personality. If the car in which you are going is defective, no matter how good a driver you are, you cannot reach your destination. In the same way, the car for the soul and the mind is the body. And hence this journey has to begin with tuning up the body. That is why in this yogic system, there is the outlining of the scientific processes for keeping this body healthy, a fine instrument. Sharira madhyam Khalu dharma sadhanam. Even to attain your spiritual objectives, the body is your vehicle and needs to be taken care of. So, a true yogic practice addresses all aspects of our personality. There are varieties of systems of yoga that have been taught for thousands of years. There is the system of karma yoga, which teaches us how to experience the divine joy through work, how to make your work divine. There is then the system of Jnana yoga, which teaches us how to illumine your intellect with such wisdom that you elevate yourself to be established in the transcendental. There is the system of Hatha yoga, which teaches how through self-abnegation and austerity and overcoming the lower self by the higher self, you can go inward to reach the fountain source of joy. There is the system of Bhakti yoga, the yoga of divine love, that teaches you how to expand your heart until it encompasses the entire world, free from the tiniest irritants, and through love reach that ultimate joy. There is the system of Ashtanga Yoga, propounded by Maharshi Patanjali, the eightfold process: Yam, Niyam, Asan, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharan, Dhyan, Samadhi. The eightfold process, of which the physical postures is the third asana. The breathing exercises is the fourth pranayam, and yet there is so much more to it. So the science of yoga has been, we are so thrilled that it is spread through the world. For many millennia, it was practiced by yogis in the caves of the Himalayas and in the forests of Dandakaranya, and by some illumined, enlightened kings. However, today it is spread all over. And the greatest salutation to this science came when in 2014, the United Nations unanimously, in a motion that was supported by 173 countries, adopted 21st of June as the International Day of Yoga. In commemoration of the International Day of Yoga, we are celebrating this festival. The word yoga comes from the Sanskrit word yog. And the word yog is extremely deep and philosophic. It means union. To unite is yog. That requires the understanding of the unity of all things. Presently, we are in a state of viyog. That is the reverse of yog. Let us say this is the divine consciousness, this is the individual consciousness. The individual consciousness has turned its back to the divine. That is the state of viyog. In the state of viyog, we have been covered by this ignorance of bodily consciousness, and we are striving for bhog. Bhog is the endeavor for sensual gratification, but bhog is the root cause of rog. So instead of yog, we are in viyog, and we are indulging in bhog, which is resulting in rog. Rog is disease. And what is the solution for this disease? The solution is to go to the root and to change our consciousness. There is an ancient scripture called the Yog Vasisht that has a very relevant discussion to the theme of our festival here. Thousands of years ago, King Ram, he was touring his kingdom, and he found his citizens in rog or disease. He was moved to pity. He came back and asked his spiritual preceptor, Maharshi Vasisht, "O Gurudev, what is the cause of disease?" Vyadhi, rog. Maharshi Vasisht gave a very perceptive answer that will be validated by the Harvard Medical School today. He said, "Ram, disease begins in the mind. When we harbor negative thoughts in the mind, thoughts of anxiety, tension, fear, hatred, greed, those poisonous thoughts, They disrupt the mental sheath. When the mental sheath is disrupted, it disturbs the vital energy sheath, which is the pran, which the Chinese call the chi, the vital force within all of us. And when the vital force is disturbed, it manifests in the gross body as disease. That is why the holistic system of medicine endeavors at the holistic treatment of disease, and the yogic system endeavors at addressing our personality in all its aspects, the physical, the mental, the intellectual, and the spiritual, to ultimately take us to the goal of this journey, which is yoga, which is union with the Supreme Consciousness. And since that Supreme is the ocean of joy, that yoga, that union will lead to joy. So how do we get yoga for joyous living in that case? The question is, do you just wish to do yoga, or do you wish to be a yogi? If you just wish to do yoga, it's a matter of 1 hour every day. But if you wish to be joyous, you do your yoga and also be a yogi. In other words, in that sense of unity, you see yourself as a part of the entire universe. You see everybody in their interconnectedness. See the source of it all, the energy you have is stemming from that source. Every endeavor is of yours as worthy of being consecrated to the divine. And when you start leading your life in divine consciousness, with your mind yoked in yoga to the divine, every aspect of your life becomes yoga. Whether you eat, whether you sleep, whether you work, nothing is separated from it. And in that yogic state, in that state of connected consciousness, life becomes a joy. Not the joy from the outside, but the inner joy of a mind held in divine consciousness, in equipoise, undisturbed by success and failure, by heat and cold, by deprivation and abundance, a mind that is connected to the source of joy within, that enables us to retain our joy wherever we go and make our whole life a celebration. Today, when I reached here, my first observation as I saw people coming in, they were all joyous. I'm going to learn something. I'm going to expand my consciousness. And then when I went through, at every stall, people were sharing their joy. This festival has brought together experts from different fields. There is so much to share that people have brought, and there is so much to learn for all of us. This is definitely a festival of joy, a festival of holistic living, a festival of unity. And I would like to thank all of you fellow yoga enthusiasts for wholeheartedly participating in this and joining together to make this yoga celebration a grand success. Thank you all very much.